Hello! People tend to believe that for all the years of exploring our planet, we know a lot about it. We can move mountains, drain, or create seas and turn riverbed. However, there are still many unexplored places on our planet that no one can explain. Such places can be very close, right under our feet. Their secrets are sometimes difficult to unravel, even with the newest technology. And today, we will go to the coast of Nova Scotia, which is located in the east of Canada, on the small Oak Island, where for about a quarter of a century can't reveal its secret. The secret of the hidden treasure, which is already known to many. However, no one has been able to get it yet. What's the reason? If you look closely, for any casual tourist, this island will look quite normal. The island is surrounded by huge rocks, forests, and bushes. However, despite the beautiful and stunning nature, the history of the past holds many secrets and riddles, as well as tragedies. The story that took place on this island captured the imagination of hundreds of people and brought to the island both scientists and adventurers, each of whom tried to explain and solve the mystery of the money pit. In 1975, three boys stumbled upon an old abandoned mine. This is where the story of the treasure hunt on Oak Island began. They found systems ship cables in the branches of a huge oak tree. In those years, stories about pirates were real truth. When the boys managed to get into the hole, they found a partition made of oak logs that went into the ground. But the boys didn't go any further and returned home due to the fact that this island is already in disrespite. The stories of children didn't cause a desire of adults to continue the research. Only a few years later, one of the scientists, Daniel McGuinness, visited the island in the company of colleagues and like-minded people, hoping to find hidden treasures. Most likely, he had a reason for this because mines do not appear underground for no reason at all, which means that someone had hidden plans for them. This case was taken up again only in early 1800s. When the excavations resumed, they found wooden masonry 4 meters along the upper layers of the soil. When the scientists tried to dig a hole deeper in search of the long-awaited reward, they came across only a new layer of earth. They continued to dig again, and each time they dived down, they noticed that the hole had narrowed to 2 meters in diameter. And when they were already 6 meters deep, they found another layer of wood that formed a wooden platform. They found that the ends of the lumber were firmly driven into different sides of the tunnel walls. This allowed the structure to be firmly strengthened. The deliberate barrier and hollow sound confirmed that the treasure was very close. Unfortunately, they were disappointed again. They pulled out another barrier. They found a 2-foot pocket of air behind it. After another layer, when they again failed to find what they wanted, it was decided to stop the work. 3 weeks later, the work was resumed. The treasure hunters returned with picks and shovels, but this time, their idea was not crowned with success. After a few days of working under the hot July sun, after digging a few more meters of earth, they again encountered an obstacle made of thick wood decking. They only admitted defeat after they had dug up several more layers of earth. After several weeks of work, a large amount of effort spent, they were forced to stop the treasure hunt, but they still managed to dig a depth of about 10 meters. While dismantling about 5 tiers of floors, Oak Island's bad reputation came after this first multi-week expedition. At the same time, the mine, which was fraught with many secrets, was called a money pit. Search operations resumed when John Smith bought the site in the early 1800s. This time, more experienced treasure hunters were able to solve the mystery of this mine. In 1803, the tour was joined by Simeon Lance, who enlisted the help of Colonel Robert Archibald and Sheriff Thomas Harris. They organized the company, and the main goal was to get the treasure of Oak Island. It was necessary to remove the mound layer after previous excavations. At a depth of 12 meters, they were in uncharted territory. They continued to dig further. hoping that every second they were one step away from opening. But only the ground remained. Only at a depth of 15 meters, one worker managed to get into a solid object. When the soil was removed, there was again another level of wood. But it wasn't the same. He found the remains of charcoal that was scattered all over the platform. The next overlap was at 18 meters, but there they found the fibers of the coconut shell. However, this was an important clue for them. Although coconut fibers were not valuable to them, they determined that coconut fibers were used to protect valuable cargo during long journeys. The team's work continued. They dug more weeks, but each time they met new difficulties until at a depth of 27 meters, they came across a flat stone with a mysterious inscription. On this stone, each character from the written text consisted of a combination of arrows, lines, and dots. The stone was lifted to the surface despite its huge weight to be studied later. After that, the diggers again continued after work, but at depth of 30 meters, they were again waiting for a wooden obstacle. After passing it and plunging deeper, at 35 meters, they again came across a wooden structure. The members of the group were exhausted, so they decided to postpone the excavation to the next day. But they couldn't even imagine what a fatal mistake they made. When they turned to the mine the next day and went down, they saw that at a depth of 27 meters, the shaft was filled with seawater, but they failed to completely pump out the water, so the excavations had to be suspended. Looking into the well that might have contained treasures, the team members admitted defeat. But in the fall of 1804, the group decided to use new technologies to overcome the pit challenge. They used the help of Carl Muscher and his mechanical pump to completely clear the tunnel and continue working. After the pump was installed, the water level began to gradually decrease, but at a depth of 25 meters, near the place where the excavation was suspended, the water pump failed and the water filled the pit again. The team returned to the island again in 1805 with new ideas. People assumed that despite the failed attempts, the next one would be successful. They decided to dig a new hole parallel to the old one, and then they had to dig a new tunnel underground. But their attempt was unsuccessful again, because at a depth of 7 meters, the pit filled with water. After so many failed attempts, spent effort, money, the next expedition was recognized as unsuccessful. Wasted millions, and the next 45-year expedition defeats have cooled the ardor of other comers. In 1849 to 1950, during regular excavations, it was discovered that the mine communicated with the sea through 2 artificial channels. But the main question that many treasure seekers were thinking about: why and who built a mine on a small island that even modern researchers with expensive equipment could not unearth? All this was done several centuries ago. The stone was found at the depth of the mine, a piece of parchment with Latin letters and iron scissors, also fragments of a gold chain, aroused interest in the excavations from the middle of the last century. It was clear that there was a person before them, but who he is still unknown. One colonel, who was part of one of the search expeditions, many years later managed to find rich and famous investors, and he also managed to attract the newest equipment: pumps, excavators, drilling mechanisms, and so on. But it was pointless. Because of the structure of the mine, all attempts to get into it cost only another flooding. Since then, no one else has been able to get rid of the water. Even in the 20th century, the mysterious island and its mine did not leave the minds of enthusiasts and treasure hunters. Over the 50 years from 1909 to 1960, about 7 expeditions visited the island. Each group of researchers brought more effort and new equipment to their work. Each time, more experienced specialists were attracted, but no one else managed to drain the mine. And since then, work on Oak Island has been going on constantly, with land being sold several times. In 1969, half of Oak Island was purchased by the Trident Company to find hidden treasures and get to the bottom of the mysterious mine. The owners of this company are famous treasure hunters Daniel Blankenship and David Tobias. As a result of radiocarbon analysis of logs and masonry of the mine using the most powerful equipment, it was established that the main work in this mine was carried out no later than 1660 to 1700s. The shaft, about 50 meters long and 365 centimeters in diameter, led to a flooded storage facility, the size of which is still unknown. The investigation began with archives, and after years of working with documents, they finally built a version of the origin of the structure on the island. Daniel was in no hurry to start work for a long time, and when he finally moved on to drilling, he chose a place 60 meters from the mine itself. When he drilled the hole, he found a huge hollow chamber behind the rock and saw a box, a pickaxe, and a human hand. This was a confirmation that this mine is associated with pirates because, according to pirate costume, the treasure of Oak Island is guarded by one dead man. Daniel Blankenship is one of the richest people who has managed to solve many of the strangest riddles and find a huge amount of treasure in his life, and the Oak Island treasure is his life's work. To see what is in the underwater chamber, he went down through a pipe, the diameter of which was about 70 centimeters to a depth of 55 meters, but the island was not ready to reveal all its secrets. Since the purchase of the big area of this island, which took place in 1969, Daniel Blankenship has lived on the island for all these years, but in recent years, he has become a recluse. Unable to solve the mystery of the mine, his mind was confused. However, he is sure that such a complex structure for treasures was not built by pirates. He believes that people cannot build something so complex and elaborate. Moreover, a few centuries ago, when there were no such technologies to study the underground water and currents under this island. In 2005, the island was co-owned by a Michigan group of industrialists who worked in the drilling sector. Probably the company's owners and specialists will be able to solve the mystery of this mine and underground structures of this mysterious island. During the time of the excavation, Oak Island ruined many people and also took officially 6 human lives from those who tried to find the treasure. The idea of turning the island into a tourist place and making money from it has not found a response from the owners of Oak Island, who even today renew their licenses to continue search operations. Scientists put forward ideas about what might be hidden in the depths of the mysterious island. The first version was the theory that these treasures were hidden by pirates, but many do not take it seriously and believe that this version is for ordinary people. This theory makes everyone think that there is a treasure hunt, but in fact, there is something much more serious. Scientists are sure that such lavish people as pirates could not spend such a huge amount of time to build complex underground storage for treasures that no one can find now. The second theory is the version about the Inca treasures that were transported to the north of the continent by the warriors of Francisco Pizarro at the beginning of the 16th century. Historical records indicate that the treasures looted by the conquistadors were only a small part of the wealth of the entire empire, where the main part is still a mystery. Another version is that the treasure was hidden by English monks from the Abbey of St. Andrew. The monks accumulated their wealth for thousands of years and then hid their treasures in underground galleries similar to those found on the island. The riches of the abbey were never found in England. The fourth theory was about the Masons. The strange and intricate designs of the mines and tunnels could have been built by the Templars. This theory includes the secret of the Holy Grail, for which the Oak Island mine would be a wonderful hiding place. The next version touches on the French Revolution of 1789, suggesting that the island was hidden treasure of the French royal house of Bourbon. It is also worth noticing the sixth version that building such technical structures underground, inventing difficult designs to hide several treasure chests, is a waste of time. According to official science, people did not know how to build anything like this centuries ago. No matter what versions were put forward about the history of the mine, no one managed to get to the treasure anyway. After several tunnels were discovered near the shoreline that led to the money pit and through which water enters the mine, they were blocked, and the channels were blocked with boulders. Despite this, the money pit continued to fill with water. Today, the Canadian island of Oak is famous for 2 centuries of treasure hunting and drilling, and the only detail that is known is that the money pit remains one of the greatest and still unsolved mysteries on the planet. More than 20 large and expensive expeditions have visited the island during the entire period of research, and each of them came with new and ingenious plans, with professional equipment and so on. But no one ever managed to get into the room at the bottom of the mine. And even now, work on Oak Island has not stopped for more than 2 centuries. In one of these expeditions, the former President of the United States, Franklin Roosevelt, managed to work when he was 27 years old. When years later, he was asked about the work at this mine, and at that time, he replied that it was too early for us people to know about it. What do you think for what and who built these complex and multi-level mines and wells with underground channels and mysterious inscriptions? Write your guesses in the comments. That's all for today. Please like this video if you liked it. See you soon!